Hyde Park, the best hood in Upland.
Hyde Park,
Got it locked from the bread to Venice Ave.
Hyde Park,
So come round here with respect, or you might get a shuriken to your neck, or a roundhouse kick to the face. The ninjas don't play. Stacking the UPEX from all the treasure we're hunting. Dragons keep the properties coming. Newcomers get help and they love it. Giveaways all the time and we love it. UFC and NFL where we rumble. Race track in the hood got constructed. Hyde Park is stunning. If you don't agree, then you can go.
You need to leave.
The best hood in Upland. Yeah,
Hyde Park,
got it locked from the bread to Venice Ave.
Hyde Park,
So come round here with respect, or you might get a shuriken to your neck, or a roundhouse kick to the face. The ninjas don't play.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday and happy Halloween to everybody. So, hope everybody's having a spooktious good morning. KO, good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning. Actually, I forgot it was Halloween
Yeah, I did too
until
until this
just
morning when I
now.
woke up.
Yeah, we had our Halloween party for our school this weekend, and so in my head, our Halloween's already happened. But
Yeah, yeah. Oh, man. So we've got, let's see, today is episode 4. This is our final day of the 21 Deadliest Martial Arts. So, what's on the agenda? What do we have for martial arts today, actually? I can't remember where we left off.
let's pull the screen up here. Got a couple good ones to wrap up this series, and we'll be starting a new series next week. And if you guys have any ideas or topics that you would like us to talk about martial arts related, feel free to leave that in the comments or in the Discord, and we'd be happy to do some content on that. But kind of wrapping up today, the last 5 martial arts on our list. Let's see. We're actually starting today with wrestling. So the 5 that we're going to hit today are wrestling, Vale Tudo, Rough and Tumble, Ninjutsu, and Krav Maga. So let's jump in. Let's jump into wrestling first.
Ooh, my favorite.
um, yeah. So wrestling. What's your first initial? Some of these we've not heard of. Wrestling is been around for ever. One of the oldest combat sports. So what are your thoughts on wrestling?
Wrestling has got, man, a lot of really good takedowns. So I'm just a disclaimer, I'm not a big fan of wrestling. Don't really care for a lot of the people that I've run into that do wrestling. I actually got involved in martial arts because of bullying and stuff, and a lot of that was from wrestlers. So I never had a good, I guess, a good take on wrestling until a little bit later in life. I've got some people that I'm pretty close with and instruct with, and they've been in wrestling for 40 years. So I've got a great appreciation for it without a doubt. And they're great martial artists as well as great wrestlers too. So it's a great style. I just, for whatever reason, a lot of the stuff that I've seen within wrestling at wrestling events and things just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I was at an event where there was not a bad call, but a kid in the ring. This is a young kids division, like, I don't know, 8th grade. And one of the kids did a move that probably he shouldn't have done. And the father, who was also a wrestler, in his past, 30 years ago or whatever it was, came running out of the stands and slammed the kid that's like an eighth grader.
Mm.
And he had a restraining order on him. I think he got arrested and stuff. And you know that again, this guy had an old school wrestling mentality. He's about my age, and you know, it turns out his kid is kind of the same way. He's like a bully type as well in school, and so that's a lot of times that's what I see. And you know, there's two sides to every martial art. You know, we know of martial artists that have you know been bullies or done bad things with it. So I don't think it's wrestling necessarily. I think sometimes it's the way that it's taught. And if you have a good teacher, like anything, it's going to be used the right way. And if you don't, you know, that's what happens. But so I've honestly never been a huge fan of wrestling. I spent a majority of my beginning years in the arts actually defending against wrestling and techniques of that sort. So I like to stay on my feet, but for that reason. So
Yeah, it's unfortunate that, some negative experiences. I haven't quite had that with wrestling. I've had it with competition in general, just poor sportsman attitude. But looking back on it, especially getting into grappling when I was 17, I didn't wrestle at all, and I do wish I would have wrestled back in middle school or high school at least a little bit and gotten some of that experience because the wrestlers that I face nowadays, as far as grappling goes, man, they wrestlers are just built different in the head.
yeah,
their
without a doubt.
their mental tenacity, like their drive, and it's probably just their coaches just drilling it into their head, like never quit, never stop, like you don't get tired, and so grappling against those guys, I've grappled against some D1 wrestlers, a ton of high school and collegiate wrestlers, and man, they're always a handful,
Oh
that's for
yeah,
sure.
without a doubt.
Um,
Any of the
and
guys
so,
that were D1 wrestlers that I've grappled against are, yeah, they're really tough to deal with.
yeah, it's
And you
that
know,
it's that
you said that word experience, you know, and I think a lot of times, not just with wrestling, but with everything, any arts or anything that you practice, any sports, a lot of times your first experience with that, your first introduction, kind of you know, you form an opinion about it based on that first, you know, interaction with it. And, you know, we see that in martial arts too. And especially in the old days, there was a lot of people that went and watched a martial arts class and, you know, something just off the wall crazy happened, or it was just a really bad instructor that didn't conduct a good class. And their experience was, you know, those guys are a bunch of toolboxes. I don't want to be doing that stuff. You know, I'm going to get hurt just like they did. And so that first experience and that first impression makes a huge impact on someone as they're, you know, adventuring into anything new, whether it be a sport or martial art.
yeah, most definitely. Um, yeah, those first impressions are key. Um, so anyway, I wrestling, and the other thing I think with wrestling is how it kind of took over the UFC there for a while. Um, I actually feel like it's made a shift back towards striking, and but it seemed like there for about 5 to 8 years, it just seemed like wrestlers dominated the UFC. Um, and all the champions were wrestlers. Everybody winning was a wrestler, and it took quite a few years for everyone to catch up in that skill, and it still stands out. If one person has a wrestling uh, background, the other one does not. I mean, the wrestler can just control the ground pretty easily, but um, so I don't know. Did you sense the same thing? I mean, it just seemed like everybody winning was a wrestler, and then the last 5 or 6 years, it's definitely shifted where that maybe more people are more well versed on the ground um, now, and they're starting to defend better. So it's kind of shifted back towards a little bit more stand up and striking, boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it definitely has. And I think over the years, you know, if you look back over all the years, you know, like UFC and MMA has been going on, and even back to like shoot fighting and the pancreas fighting, there's been so many different shifts. And I think you get used to the competition. And I think everything kind of goes full circle where you're going to have certain a certain style, just say stand up, be kind of leading the realm for a little bit, and then it transitions. Now the grapplers, the jiu-jitsu guys are winning, and then there's a lot of shift, I think, and I think a lot of that is the people that are participating in the events, the fighters themselves are, they're whatever they're competing against, that's what they're preparing for. So as they get used to the striking styles and they learn how to defend those, now the strikers aren't going to do as well, and then vice versa. So I think it's going to go full circle like that, because you get like acclimated to what you're competing against.
Yeah, totally agree. So it'll be interesting to see the shift and where it goes next.
Good.
Um,
Morden Laban, thanks for joining us this morning. Good to see you.
what's up, Laban? Um, this is it is common to see wrestlers sustaining dislocations, cauliflower ear, ligamentous knee injuries, if I'm saying that right, and sprains around the elbow. Because the sport involves a lot of body contact, there's a high risk of contracting contagious skin problems. All right. So that's not just with wrestling, that's every grappling sport.
Yeah.
uh, and actually, so both of my ears are cauliflowered. One of them is from boxing, actually.
Really?
Uh, yeah, and the other one is from grappling. Um, and so, yeah, lots of ways to get cauliflower ear. Um, yeah, the first one I was just we were just training, and I just took a left hook to the ear. It was one of the hardest shots I've been hit with. My ear immediately doubled or tripled in size, and I had to learn how to drain my ears. I've had to drain my ears hundreds of times over the years. It always happened like 3 weeks before a fight. Because if you get cauliflower ear, okay, it's just blood and fluid that fills the ear up, and you have about roughly 48 hours until all that fluid hardens up. So you have to drain it fairly quickly. Usually within 12 hours is the best. So and then it takes about 2 weeks to heal. So you're not supposed to train or get your blood pressure up for 2 weeks, because anytime your blood pressure goes up or you start to train, or even if your ear gets nicked, it fills back up again immediately. Um, so it seemed to always happen like 3 weeks before a fight, and I cannot stop training. So every day was train and then drain my ear, train, drain my ear, and so I've had to go through that multiple
It's
times.
painful too, because the first time I ever had it happen was a knee strike. In grappling, I took a knee strike. Somebody was going to shoot into side control, and they actually slipped, and their knee caught me in the ear. And man, I had to drain it. Well, I actually got some bad advice. Someone said, "Well, don't drain it. Just let it harden up a little bit, and you won't get it anymore." And then yeah, so that bad advice. But anyways, I've been through the process of draining it and everything. But it's like this, like you said, you have to keep training. And I was continually training, and then you just get put in weird positions where you have an arm around your head or whatever it is, and it's like it's so sensitive. But
It's very sensitive. I tried wearing the headgear,
mhm.
um, and that honestly didn't work. It still rakes up against it because it just takes a nick. Um, and then there's magnets. They make magnets.
Do those work? I've never used them.
They do if you don't train.
Okay.
Like you
Oh, if you
you
don't train.
you have to stop training in order for it to heal. Because I would wear them, and it's basically useless because the next day I would train. But to answer Laban's question, yes, I had someone drain them for maybe like the first time. They had to stick me like 15 times over 2 weeks, and it it got to the point where I knew where the fluid was, but they didn't. So it became so much easier just to do it myself. So I just learned that I get into the mirror and just find the pocket, drain it out, and I actually got pretty good at it. So I drain other people's ears now, and um, got pretty good at finding the pockets. And so to have drained my ear, I mean, well over both of them, probably 150 times. and they turned out pretty good in comparison to some others that I've seen. I cannot wear like earbuds though. They always fall out. So I have to wear headphones if I like the big headphones that cover my full ear, because I can't hold the earbuds.
The
Uh,
yeah, I drained mine as well.
yeah,
I
you got
never had
it's
anybody else drain it before, and I remember the first time having to do it, because I don't have needles around my house, and I had to go to the pharmacy, and was kind of walking up there quiet, and I'm like, I need some needles. And the guy's like, what?
yeah,
And
yeah. I don't know how
I
much.
felt like a drug addict, going into the pharmacy. I was like trying to be quiet about it, and the, I showed him the ear, and the pharmacist was pretty cool and got me some packs. So
Well, that's pretty good, and I know we're getting off tangent here, but oh well, it's some fun stories. But the same thing happened. There's a pharmacy here, and I had to go to a very specific pharmacy because the guy, the person there that worked there used to wrestle, so he understood. I would walk into a few different. I would walk. Maui said, "What did I walk in on?" We're talking about we're talking about draining ears, Maui. But yeah, I would walk into pharmacy. My ear was a mess. It was like a golf ball on the side of my head, right? It was like triple the size of what an ear should be. And I explained to them. I even said I would drain it right there so they could see, and they would not help me out at
yeah.
all. So I found one pharmacy that would, and then my last story with that is I went onto a jujitsu cruise. So we did jujitsu for 7 days on a cruise ship, and well, of course, I get cauliflower ear like 3 days before that trip. And so you do jujitsu every day on the cruise, and then you go do your excursions, and you come back and you train again. You basically do that 7 days or 6 days in a row. And so anyway, we're training. My ear balloons up on day one. I go down to there's a doctor's office on the cruise ship, so I go down there and I explain the situation again. They're like, "No, you're crazy," and they said, "We'll drain it for you, but it's $150 every visit."
Whoa.
So I was like, 6 days in a row, I'm going to have to pay like $1,000 almost to get my ear drained every year. Because if not, it was so big, it would have just been a hardened mess on my face. And I said, I can't do that. I can't pay $1,000 to get my ear drained. So they brought out like the head doctor, and he looked at me and he said that he also had wrestled in high school. So he worked out a deal with me. He said, come in. He's like, make eye contact with me. I'll have a needle for you over here by this sink. He's like, you you drain it. You get 3 minutes. Come in, drain it, drop it in this box, and then get out. And so we had a little arrangement. And so every morning on the cruise ship about 7 a.m., I woke up, ran down there, and drained my ear, and I could go about my day.
Oh,
So
that's crazy.
I know it was a wild.
Have you ever had to
Well,
drain anything else?
just the ear. I don't know what what
I've
else
had
have you
the
tried?
shins, the shins.
Oh, the shins.
I had a horrible shin injury. It, it was everything was like within a 3 month period. So I was training. This is way, way back. I was training for world championships, and I was sparring against a guy that was a really tall guy. The guy was like 7 foot, and I kicked him in his hip bone with my shin, and man, the thing just blew up. And I went to the doctor, and they drained it, and it was about the same. It cost me about $150 to get it drained plus the visit, and it was just full of blood and all this crap. And within a day, it was ballooned back up, and I had caught shin to shin like 2 days after, and it was like every time I could have possibly hit it that week, I hit it. When it was the sorest, and but I ended up draining it on my own with a needle. It made a mess though, and it was because it was a lot more blood than like your ear
Yeah,
has. Oh God, it was horrible. It was horrible.
I have never had that. That sounds terrible.
That was so painful because it's just so I mean, shins are sensitive when you hit shin to shin anyways, and it was super sore, and it was like I kept hitting it over and over again. And I never really connected shins too bad, and it was like for that 3 month period, I swear I hit the shins like once a week. It was crazy.
You know, I have an instructor of ours because martial arts does something weird to you because we get these, and it's not crazy all the time like injuries and stuff, but you just get to where I've had shoulder injuries and some neck injuries, some ankle injuries, but we keep training, we keep coming back and keep training, and I which injuries happen in every sport, um, but I got a guy right now and he's got a pretty substantial shoulder injury. He's out there on the mat like with his arm tied to his chest, just using his feet, working his guard position. He's also like 65 years old, or 60 years old, so he's crushing it, just out there, just you know, not gonna let anything stop him. So uh, it it's always I don't know. I think it's funny sometimes. Sometimes we take it a little too far when we should be resting and healing up our body, but
Yeah, the thing is though, is you always feel better after you train. And I don't know if I told you, I've been back sparring the last couple of weeks, and I've felt fantastic. It's just good to be kicking again, and the knees are feeling a little bit better. And I've had the shoulder. I don't know if I slept wrong. I did have one of the kids I was teaching, actually. I was showing him the Americana, and he cranked my shoulder. He went really fast with it about 3 weeks
mm,
ago. The shoulder was a little sore, and then it was fine. I don't know if I slept on it wrong, but it's really numb and everything. And I was sparring again yesterday, and it felt pretty good. And then afterwards, it was hurting again. But yeah, the thing is every time you train, you always feel better, though.
oh, 100%, absolutely. All right, well, there was our 20-minute opener with wrestling. Let's see. That got derailed, but talking about draining ears. All right, Valley Tudo is number 4 on this list. I don't think there was any particular order of the list. So Valley Tudo, translated to anything goes, is a full contact, unarmed combat sport originating in Brazil that consists of both striking and grappling techniques. This martial art combines the elements of judo, jiu-jitsu, and boxing with ancient indigenous fighting styles that allow strikes as well as joint locks, throws, chokes, and sweeps. Um, let's see. See if there's any other information. So Valley Tudo, when I first learned about it, basically was bare knuckle fighting. Um, you could strike to the groin and some stuff like that. You could grab hair. You could pretty much do anything. They did have I believe you could not attack like the eyes, um, and but I think that was about it.
Yeah, there
Um,
wasn't a whole lot of rules. I think, yeah, you weren't allowed to attack at the eyes and possibly the throat.
maybe.
I don't know that you were allowed to like throat punch or anything. I can't remember. I want to say that was way back like in the 80s is when that's when I was first introduced to the Valtude. I remember working security at a nightclub I was working at the time, and they would always have the fights on. And it was either the Pancras fights or the Valtuda is what they called it, I think, way back then. And that was before UFC even came onto the scene, I believe, in the old days. So I just remember seeing those names and didn't know a whole lot about them actually. And once UFC hit, everybody knew what UFC was. It kind of went mainstream.
Yeah, that was 1993 that UFC started, and I do believe Vale Tudo was definitely before that. That's where I learned that in Vale Tudo, rarely did they punch because it was bare knuckle. There was no gloves protecting the hand, and which a lot of people don't realize that for self defense, punching is actually a pretty dangerous option. Um, and so if you watch a lot of old Valley Tudo fights, of course some guys punch, but a lot of I'd say a majority of the people actually use their open palms,
Yeah.
uh, elbows, knees. But it's very, very easy to break your hand on someone's head. Their head is much stronger than your hand.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I tell the story all the time in class, about punching when we're teaching people how to punch the proper way and hitting with the bigger knuckles. And I remember back in the day, I'd see a lot of the college guys come in and they'd be bragging about what fight they got in and how they, kicked someone's butt. And then you look at their hand and their fingers are broken. When they threw the punches, they were punching with like the pinky and the outside finger. And man, as soon as you connect that to a head, any kind of bone, it's just going to snap the finger. So did you really win that fight or?
Yep, yep. Um, that's funny. I guess we move a little quicker through these since we spent so long on wrestling. But yeah, Valley Tudo is pretty cool. It's good to watch, and I think as far as like pretty darn close to self defense situation, what you would do as far as using open hands, knees, elbows, and of course grappling if it goes down to the ground. All right, the much anticipated Rough and Tumble.
Rough and Tumble. Is this like a daycare type
This is like
system?
this is on the list as an actual martial art. Uh, I don't know. Honestly, I shouldn't.
Is it a prison martial art? Is that what it says?
It's one of the deadliest. Let's see, it developed
Rough and Tumble.
by prisoners in England's Newgate prison. Rough and Tumble is a hybrid style
Huh.
that involves various techniques such as punching, kicking, grappling, joint manipulation, ground fighting, and hidden weapons as you
Oh, so
need.
like shanking?
I was gonna say, as needed in prison, you need those hidden weapons. Um, so you need your shanks. I don't know what other weapons that your fork. You know,
Bar
what
of
other,
soap? Yeah, I don't know.
I haven't I haven't been to prison, so um, not sure exactly what weapons are needed. So yeah, this is interesting. So interesting that it made the list. I've never heard of Rough and Tumble.
Not as a martial art, no. I thought it was like a daycare kiddie program where they did like tumbling.
It emphasizes using surroundings to their advantage and utilizing items such as chairs or
Prison bars,
sticks as weaponries, as weaponry.
toothbrushes.
Toothbrushes, yeah. Hey, they file those things down.
They do.
Uh, yeah, I love like prison shows and stuff like that. I get sucked into those. Um, okay, so a bunch of tough guys in prison probably came out with Rough and Tumble, and they made this amazing list of
Hmm,
21 deadliest martial arts.
that's crazy.
All right. Ninjutsu is the next one. So I've heard a lot about ninjutsu. I've never actually known anybody that trains ninjutsu. Is a Japanese martial art that originated in the 15th century, making it one of the oldest and most revered martial arts. The aim of ninjutsu was to use strategies such as surprise attacks, camouflage, and diversions to gain an advantage over opponents. Um, use the weapons like the swords, throwing stars, katana. Yeah. All right. Have you ever known anybody to practice ninjutsu?
I've heard people say that they've trained ninjutsu, but then when you would ask them what it was like, they really wouldn't have a description. So I don't know if they really trained or not. When I think of ninjutsu, I think of like back in the old days, there was this bubble gum. It was called Bazooka Joe. Have you ever seen Bazooka Joe, the bubble gum?
Oh, the bubblegum. Yes.
Yeah, it's like a little square. So I remember having those as a kid, and you would open them up, and there was like a little comic strip inside. And then a lot of times there were like advertisements for like ninja type stuff that if you saved enough Bazooka Joe wrappers, you could save up and you could win like the ninja claws and you could climb trees with them and stuff. And so when I think of ninjutsu, I always think of that. And there was a show in the old day called I think it was called the American Ninja, and it was about a guy that was like in the military and he dressed up as the ninja. And so it was a real there was a lot of like mystique to it. That's what I envision it as.
Well, maybe the first rule of ninjutsu is don't talk about ninjutsu.
Yeah.
um, maybe that's why. Maybe they're sworn to secrecy.
Yeah, and that makes sense though. A lot of the weapons that you see on this list, in that show I was talking about, I think it was called the American Ninja. They used the katanas, they had the throwing stars, they climbed in trees, they did different things, and it was real secretive. They were dressed in the ninja outfits and all that stuff.
definitely popular in movies, and stuff like that. I do think it's, you know, I think it's legitimate. I really do. I think people do practice. Um, as far as how effective and stuff, I don't know. But it is interesting. I think of movies like the Three Ninjas growing up
Hmm.
as a kid, seeing the ninja schools and people training ninjutsu and stuff like that, and old traditional stuff. So um, definitely some interesting stuff there. All right, moving into our final one of the list today, and that is Krav Maga. I know Maui trains in Krav Maga. Um, and what is your opinion on Krav Maga?
It seems like a great self-defense system. I've seen just a little bit of it. The way it was explained to me the first time I had introduction to Krav Maga years ago, we had an instructor in Atlanta, I think it was Atlanta, Georgia, and they came in and they did like a little bit of Krav Maga training. And the way it was explained, it was a lot of force meeting force. It's from what I understand, the people I know that do train it really, really like it for self defense. I've always trained in more of like the Filipino arnis, and I think there's some similarities to it. And I just chose that art over Krav Maga. But I've heard all good things about it as far as like self defense. If you have to learn something quick, it's something you can pick up a little bit quicker than other arts.
Yeah, I think everything. The one thing there's multiple things I like about it, but one thing I like about Krav Maga is, um, it is very, you know, when you're learning self defense, you need things that are quick, easy, simple to remember. Um, and even if I get into a self defense situation, I'm not going to be doing a, rolling omoplata to triangle to Kimura. Like, it's not going to be an advanced thing. It's going to be very basic strikes, maybe a basic takedown. Um, everything's going to be very, very simplistic and explosive and fast and strong. So I think Krav Maga is great for self defense. I really do. It's an Israeli martial art, and they say right here it says the military self defense art was developed for Israeli Defense Force and Israeli security forces. Um, and some other things here. Um, Many don't consider Krav Maga a martial art because it lacks harmony and spiritual enhancement. It is all about how to quickly defend yourself and knock down your opponent. There are no rules so that fighters can target any area. Um, yeah, there's not much. Actually, I've never seen like a competition. Like, there's no sport involved
No, not
uh,
at all.
with Krav Maga. It's just strictly to the point, self defense. So, um, I see like I'm trying to compare it to like jujitsu because I love jujitsu.
One
Krav
of the
Maga.
things I see within the Krav Maga I don't know if it's just in the marketing that you see, it's always like big buff dudes doing it and teaching it. And, my thing was always like, especially when you have women that are looking to learn self defense, is if you're a woman, you're a little bit smaller, maybe than someone that's a male attacking, just a lot bigger. Do you want to meet force with force, or do you want to redirect the energy? That's always been my philosophy for someone that's smaller. And, I think jujitsu, you were talking about jujitsu. Jujitsu does teach a smaller person how to defend a little bit easier. So that was my only thing about Krav Maga that kind of steered me away, I think, is that it was like force meeting force, I felt like, where I felt like you had to be a stronger person to do it. And like Filipino arts, a lot of what we learned is a lot of redirection and moving and just redirecting the energy so you're not taking the brunt of the energy coming at you.
Yeah, I mean, I teach like when I teach self defense, um, especially like a women's self defense course or even just a basic self defense course. If people are not going to be training on a consistent basis. I mean, I teach them how to use their elbows, their knees, and teach them how to fight and scrap. From that, because if you're not training on a consistent basis, memorizing anything over 3 steps is just not gonna. It's not gonna be in your brain. It's not gonna
Yeah.
be a muscle memory. Um, so I definitely think that there is benefit to learning to explode and use your elbows and knees and bite, hit them in the groin, like fight out however you need. Um, you know, a kick to the groin. I have been dropped to the ground by a 5-year-old. I mean,
Yep.
I've been absolutely crawling to the bathroom, about ready to puke. From a 5-year-old missing the target, and accidentally catching me. So, learning, uh, developing those skills, learning those skills are very, very important for self defense. I look at jujitsu as a little bit more like it takes a longer time to develop. I think Krav Maga could be better for self defense in a quicker amount of time. And then jujitsu is a little more skill related things that take a little bit more time to develop, um, that are also very effective. So it kind of might just depend on how much time you have to devote to training. Um, if you have 10 years, I love training Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. It's a little easier on the body. If you don't have as much time to devote to it, and you just really want to feel confident in yourself, it maybe Krav Maga might be the better option for you. So
Yeah.
everybody's different, and everybody needs to just go and try different academies and uh, see which one fits best for you. I truly believe. My mom has a quote actually that um, everyone that trains. Oh goodness, I'm gonna mess up her. Maui says eyes and balls. That's it. Those are the target areas. Um, Basically, the gist of what my mom's saying is that martial arts can help everyone. It's not for everyone, and we know that. As for, not everybody enjoys it, but it absolutely can help everyone, whether that be with confidence, physical fitness, discipline. Um, so find whatever martial art that may be. I have a few that I'm partial to that I like, but that's because I've tried many and I've found what works for me. So go out and take that first step if you're ever have been interested in martial arts, and just try a few different schools, see which vibe of the school fits you best and which style you might like the best. I encourage you just to go out and figure out what fits your lifestyle and fits your training needs.
Yeah. And I think, self defense, it really comes down to, when you're attacked, most people freeze up right away. So a lot of it is like automatic response. So I think when you train over and over and over again, with different attacks, because you can't hand pick the attack that's going to happen. Is it going to be a grab? Someone going to be swinging? Are they trying to tackle me? So I really feel that if you're not put in those situations over and over again, it might take 1,000 times of doing that one technique before it becomes an automatic response. So I think, when people go and they train and they just do like one self defense summer, it's great for like awareness, but actually being able to perform those techniques, it really does take doing it over and over again. So it's an automatic response, because the majority of people, statistically, I want to say it's above 90% of people freeze in that kind of a situation.
Yeah, no, definitely have to train that fight or flight response.
Yeah, without a doubt. So, and everybody's got different personalities too, and that plays a lot into it as well. If you're a more laid back person or if you're a more aggressive, everybody's different that way too, what you're
Yeah,
comfortable with.
yeah, absolutely. Well, that concludes our top 21 deadliest martial arts, ending with Krav Maga today.
So, what was your favorite of the 21?
My favorite of the 21, let's see, you know, I think we'd definitely have to go like rough and tumble. I mean, that's the prison martial art. I
Rough
think
and tumble.
I think that's what's been missing from my training all these years. I think it's the missing link. Um,
And you can
the
train at a
answers,
prison nearby.
yeah, yeah. Just go jump into your nearest prison. Um, no, I love. Actually, I learned quite a bit going through this list myself. So that was really cool. I enjoyed going through that. Um, and I'm partial to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Taekwondo myself, just growing up doing those. But I have respect and for all the martial arts, and I just hope to spread the word and hopefully encourage someone to start training, uh, because the benefits of it have been extreme in my life, and I know yours as well. So we know the we know the benefits that it can provide.
If you had to pick your top 5 off this list, what would they be?
Top five as far as like effectiveness or
Favorite martial arts?
just favorite martial arts. All right, so Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and Taekwondo. I've already said those. I do like Muay Thai a lot, so I'll go with Muay Thai. Um, Judo. I love watching Judo. I think the skill in it is crazy. That's four, and then I know another pretty crazy martial art is Sambo, actually.
Hmm.
And that was actually my first grappling. My first year or two of grappling was actually Sambo. Um, Not to mention like the strategy behind it is brutal. So um, anyway, what would you pick?
Hmm. Let's see. I would, and these are in no order. My first art I ever trained was kung fu, so my heart has always been with it
Mm,
as a young guy. And
nice.
the instructor I had was amazing. Seeing him do like some crazy, amazing things. So let's see. I would go kung fu, eskrima. I actually absolutely love eskrima. Another really great instructor that I trained with was Amaguru Rafi, and he's just a unbelievable person, unbelievable martial artist, fantastic cook, just a really good person overall. Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, Taekwondo. You know, I've been doing that for a long time and really love it.
That was four.
Oh, man, the fifth one is tough.
Gotta pick one more.
I guess I would have to throw Muay Thai in there too because I absolutely love the use of elbows and knees for self defense. For in close, I teach that. You know, we teach that to our kids in our kids program at all different levels, and I think it's important to know for close in fighting. And again, like we talked about earlier, you know, if you're striking with bare knuckles, the damage it can do to your hands. So elbows and knees work really good. So that would have to be my next one on the list for sure. So I always liked watching Muay Thai too.
Well, there you have it. The Ninja's top five martial arts. We had three of the same top five. Um,
I
and
don't know that I like one of them better than the other. I mean, I still like to practice all of them in different ways and incorporate it into training. And, you know, when I do my Taekwondo, you know, I love sparring. When I do Jiu Jitsu, I love rolling. It's awesome.
yeah, no, agreed. It's not there's not one over the other, and there's, in my opinion, not one martial art better than others. It's all in the practitioner. It's all in how much time and effort and focus you put into your training. I've seen
There's a lot
traditional
of
karate
crossover
guys.
too. There's a ton of crossover within the arts too with the techniques.
Oh, and especially like I feel like it's becoming more and more.
Yeah.
Like we talked about in the UFC, when the UFC first started, I just was having this conversation yesterday with somebody. The first UFCs, the first 10 years probably, are my favorite years to watch, because it was style versus style.
Yeah.
It's like watching a karate practitioner go against a wrestler, and the wrestler had like no hands, no kicks, like no stand up skill, and the karate guy had zero grappling abilities, and so you had this like total style versus style, and that was my just favorite to watch. But nowadays, It's just evolved to where everybody is skilled in everything. You
Yeah,
might have a strength or a specialty, but man, everybody knows what's going on the ground. Everybody knows, how to throw, their punches. Everybody's got good defense, um, and
it's
so
a different game. Definitely a
it,
different game.
it's becoming more and more difficult to set yourself apart. You have to have these guys with unorthodox fighting styles. Like your Adesanya, your John Jones. Who else? There's another one right now that's really unorthodox. Can't think of his name, but it's almost like you got to have these like kind of awkward, unorthodox styles right now to stand out, and which is interesting to see. But it's definitely evolved. It's definitely a lot different than what it was. Well, that was a great series, going through the top 21 deadliest martial arts. Do you have anything to add or to finish off with today?
No, I don't think so. If you don't train martial arts, get out there and train, have fun with it, to help you so many different ways within your life, mentally and physically. So just get out there and train and have fun and, get on here and you can share your experiences with us. I know we've had a lot of people reach out over the last couple of weeks, asking our opinion, for their body style, what they're looking to do, what is the best martial art. So we really enjoy, helping people get involved in martial arts and, also helping you guys to find the martial art that might be the best for you, for what you're looking to do, your personality, and all that stuff.
Yep, and for all your cauliflower needs, just contact KO Ninja in the Discord. I'll be happy to help you out. All
So
right, is
I,
that
I guess next week, do we start ear draining? Are we going to do a live stream on how to ear drain properly?
we'll do a live Q&A demonstration on cauliflower ear and everything you need to know about it.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to kicking back next week, and we will have a new topic, some new episodes coming, and we are really excited about that. So I hope everybody has a great Halloween. Be safe out there. Try not to eat all your candy in one night. And we will look forward to seeing you guys next week. As always, we have our Thursday stream at 1:30. So catch up on the Upland community and our Hyde Park updates, all that good stuff. We have a lot of really cool stuff going on. We'll be able to have some details coming out on our comic book series that's going to be coming out before we know it. So really excited about that. So I think that's about it. Anything else to add, KO?
No, I think it's a wrap for today.
All right. Well, hit it heavy today. Have a good time, and we will see you guys in the next episode.
Later.